Haymaker Coffee Company was established in 2021 to create the best coffee to fuel the underdogs who perseveres, who hustles, and have the give-it-all mentality to achieve their American dream. Haymaker Coffee only roasts top quality, specialty grade coffee beans, resulting in brews that satisfies those who demand every drop from their coffee and day. If you work hard, run hard, fight hard, and play hard, we have your coffee right here. And we're back, Stripe Show podcast on a Tuesday. I'm your host, Travis Fulton. Thank you for making us part of your day. We're going to turn the page and look ahead. Next tournament, PGA Tour. It's the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro AM. And, of course, on a Tuesday, you know what that means. Give you the full handicap breakdown, our thoughts, analysis, best bets, outrights, top 20s, you name it. Had a good week last week. And joining me here today is the only guy that didn't have a win ticket on Max Home, and that's Geoff Feinberg. How you doing, bud?
What up, Travis? Yeah, it felt like that, I think, on Saturday, which I thought was lovely, and I enjoyed that Saturday finish. Max is such an easy guy to root for. I was swimming right around it. I ended up on Sung J M. I think he was 24. I took Sung J 24 to 1. Everyone was smarter than me on those Homa 25 to 1. But I always joke, the guy, he should be like a playing commissioner. Like, he's the best. I love him. He is so likable, easy to root for. Absolute, I don't know, lack of a better term, good guy, but great personality. More Max Homa.
Yeah. You think the PGA Tour leans in enough to Max Homa?
No.
A guy like that?
No, and this was highlighted to me by my partner in crime, Pat Mayo, Travis, and I think a lot of people who bet on Max probably noticed it better than I did, because it was a really, like, behind Ryder, for a period there, it was Rahm and Morikawa and Hideki and I think Day and Ricky, took up a lot of that oxygen on the broadcast, and Homa, until he pretty much chipped in, he wasn't even being recognized. He was being bumped on the leaderboard on the score bug, which, I kind of like, they just love Ricky. They love Day. If they're at the same spot, they got one name left on their little bug. They're going to do that. But Max Homa, for what he has won, for being on the U.S. team, it does still seem like they've not leaned into it. Oh, but it takes a lot maybe to break through in some respects. I would have thought he would have been there on our little, like, niche community on the internet. He's certainly in there, but hopefully this win has him in there next time. He's sort of lurking behind the leaders in a CBS broadcast.
The PGA Tour is always going to play it close to the vest as far as their core audience, right? Because they know what they have.
Yeah, they know
in that loyalty in that core audience. And then you get a guy like a Max Homa, who is, he's younger, right, than a Jason Day or a Justin Rose. He's not, the youngest, right, like we've seen with a Will Zalatoris and a Tom Kim, that next generation coming. But, it's like one of those, like, they're just kind of slowly probably trying to reel him in. And how do we position him with our core audience? We know he is appealing to perhaps this next generation and what he does on social media and those types of things. So how do you balance that out? And I agree. I don't think they quite lean in maybe quite enough. I did like the on-course mic'd up. I mean,
they got gold. I was going to mention, like, early in the week, Max Homa gave them gold. They're doing that. They don't know. That could just be an innocent, I've just hit the ball to 29 feet. I'm going to 2-putt for par. Our interview's over. Yeah. Like, that worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
And there's so much happening. It all happens fast on the back nine at Torrey Pines. I'm not saying the broadcast should go and replay that. I'm just telling you, I'm confident enough. My 80-year-old dad would really like Max Homa if you gave him, and that's such a disrespectful thing to say. The guy's won not Memorial. He's won Quail Hollow. He's won Riviera. I know he has the swing season win, but now he's won Torrey Pines. We are one more Max Homa win from maybe not like on a talent level, because, like, the best player without a major in terms of talent I'm maybe just forgetting someone off my head, but maybe it's Hovland or Cantley and Shoffley.
And
But
Shoffley.
In terms of like that next layer, Homa is one more. I mean, his trophy case is as impressive as it gets. The only thing that would bump one of those trophies at this point is a major.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, and it's just not. It's not the fact. Rest aside that it's that he hasn't won a major. He just hasn't been competitive in a major. Like he's just disappeared altogether.
Well,
really, for the
I don't
most
know
part.
about you, but I know a lot of our friends, Travis, took whether they won on Homa or not, which felt like everybody. They took some of that. There were some 60-1 US Open, 60-1 PGA championships, which I think they'll be shorter when time comes.
Oh, yeah.
To make those people like the US Open link just because it's in California and Riviera, now Torrey Pines. I mean, come on.
He holds the course record at the LA Country Club.
So that's an easy dot to connect. And I don't think we should underestimate. I'm not betting it. I don't have a bet on it. I think if you asked me to make the bet today, I'd say no, I'd rather not. But I don't even think the Masters should be overlooked with the wins. Riviera and Quail Hollow, we've seen be career corollaries or some correlation, heavy correlation, I think, especially to Riviera. So I don't know. Now it seems like he's maybe in play and maybe our expectations are too high. And I'm not sitting here with a future bet on it, but I'd love to see it.
See, last year he was T48 at the Masters, T13 at the PGA, T47 at the US Open, and he missed the cut at the Open Championship. So we'll have to wait and see. We're going to see him at the elevated event next week, I would assume, in Phoenix. But California, man, 4 wins. My goodness. 6 total on the PGA Tour, 4 wins. I mentioned it in a lot of the content that I did around the instruction side. When he made the change from Jamie Mulligan to Mark Blackburn, some things just fit perfectly. And those 2 guys are a great team. He has elevated his game. As we segue now to one of the most beautiful places in all of golf is Pebble Beach. And it's an interesting segue based off the conversation that we just had with Max Homa in how you've got your core audience and yet you're trying to attract the new audience, right? And that's always I think the push and pull that the PGA Tour probably always has and how they want to lean in on certain things, where they invest their money, those types of things. The core audience, this tournament at Pebble Beach is 100% for their core audience. They're hardcore. Your dad, my mom and dad will be watching this tournament, and they love this tournament. They love the idea of the Pro-Am format. They love Bill Murray's act. But then you got that younger generation and even my generation in the mid-40s that kind of look at this like, I don't know, I'm tired. I've been tired with this tournament for many years. And it's unfortunate because it's at Pebble Beach. And I think when you ask the players, they're tired of it as well. They don't get a good field anymore. And it's unfortunate because it's one of the most beautiful places in the world. But nonetheless, we're here. They play 3 courses: Pebble Beach, Spyglass, Monterey Peninsula. And then after that, they make the cut, and the final round is on Sunday. It's a Pro-Am format. You look at the previous winners: Tom Hoagie, of course, last year; Daniel Berger, who has not been playing. He won in 21. Nick Taylor, big odds in 2020. Mickelson's won this tournament 5 times. He won it back in 2019. Ted Potter, I'll never forget, pride of Ocala, Florida, 2018. He won, the big lefty. What was he, like 250-1, I believe, something like that?
The outduel just crushed DJ on Sunday, too.
I'll never forget that tournament as long as I live. And then Spieth, who's in the field in 2017. So you break this down. There's so much to take in here. 3 courses, the Pro-Am. I mean, how do you handicap this, Geoff? What do you do? I mean, what's your advice?
Okay, so you mentioned those winners, and we literally are either at the very top of the board in that list, Travis, or we are at like not just long shots. And I don't mean what we consider long shots today as opposed to what we did a year and a half ago. Super long shots.
Yeah.
Potter, Taylor, Nick Taylor, Vaughn Taylor, like
Vaughn Taylor. That's right. Yeah.
Vaughn Taylor beating Phil with a carry stand bag. An all-time Pebble Beach memory for me. You see the Pebble Beach US Open flag behind me, the Gary Woodland job there in 19. Yeah, 19. So there's a lot to sort of make of this event. We even heard Nance during the football game on the weekend. Like, they're excited. They tell you exactly what Saturday is going to be. It's
Right.
like our celebrity golf day, and he's rhyming them off. Bill Murray, Josh Allen, Larry Fitzgerald, Andy Garcia. We all, we've been watching it. This is, I guess, what we have to realize. And it is for the core audience, not people with bets or lineups or who care about scores fast on an app. It is for their core audience, Travis. Yep. And we like to complain because we're younger and we think we know everything, and I can be curmudgeon on the internet. But you really got to take the Adam Scott comment to heart here when he says only 8 or 10 of these tournaments matter. And there's 40 of them. They can do whatever they want. Whatever they want. I'd love more match play. We have the team play. I think we all think it's time for some sort of real co-ed event. Like, there's so many events that they can just change up the pace. And this is all that is. This is what that is. Mm-hmm. There's 50 events or 45 events in the year. Some of them have to be different. And it's good that you can have an opinion whether it's good or bad that they're different. I know, like, DFS guys hate anything that's bad. DFS guys even hate no cut events because of the variance is so off kilter.
Right.
And I'm not even knocking DFS. I'm a DFS guy myself. But I think you have to realize when you criticize, you have to just realize what it is and how the golf ecosystem, like, it works. And there's so much place. That you have so many events for what you need. 150, 72 hole stroke play, one course, no pro-am, no cutaways to celebrity shots. Yeah. If you want to be triggered, like if you want to get angry, make a lot of head-to-head bets on Saturday and try to watch the telecast. Like, you're just asking yourself to get angry. And that's not saying if you see a head-to-head bet and you think it's a good price, make it. But I don't know, go tobogganing with the kids. Like, it can be triggering for, like, people in our little niche circle, how this thing is conducted. Now, to the ultimate question, it's really hard to bet because the variance is so wide. Mm-hmm. It is so wide. And as we see the super long, I do have to believe, and as we'll talk through it, I've got a very small card, but I'm ready to bet a lot of names, and they're all sort of above 60, between like 60 and 100, Travis.
I've got some of those too.
I feel like this is just the time. Like, we've made fun of, and if we can't get like a respectable number to hit this week, like, we just might be doomed because we joke every week, only good players win. What is the point of betting non-good players?
Right. Yeah.
Like, it's almost absurd at this point. Now, this almost makes the fun conversation. I mean, what makes a good player? Like, by good player, I just mean short number. You could debate how you could debate, Andrew Putnam in his quality of, like, how good is he? But if he wins this week, it's 25-1. That goes in the good player side of the ledger. So
I did not bet that.
No, it's very popular. I didn't bet it. I didn't pick it either. So, I am probably potentially at risk of being just maybe a little too big of a card because I'm just chasing some bigger numbers here. And recent history tells us that's silly. Even Pebble Beach history tells us that's a little silly based on how we've mentioned how it's just been the super, like, short 20-1 and unders, or the super bombs that why are we playing in this 50 to 100? But I don't know, man. That's where I'm playing. Like, I feel like, not that we're due. I just feel like that's where the best numbers for me are this week.
And that's the other part with this place, like, because this is a great course because it weeds out and it really highlights and rewards the best players. And then, like, okay, so Pebble Beach in our mind, in this property in Spyglass and Monterey, like, these are great courses, right? But yet they've yielded these kinds of winners over the years and some bombers. So it's like there's just a lot to take in and dissect with this course. But make no mistake, look, there's certainly a group of people that don't like this event. They're tired of this event. I'm probably more in that category. I won't watch much of this event, but it's there for a reason. The PGA Tour is not dumb. A lot of people may think they are, and they might be a little worn out on some of the things that they do, but they're not dumb. right? This tournament is there for a reason. And when you look at the ratings, and particularly on Saturday, I mean, they're usually pretty damn good because you know why? Because their core audience is watching. And that's why. All right. So anyway, let's get into this. You add it up. All right. History plays a role here. I think you could probably factor that in. All right, you probably need to keep it in front of you. It's not a real long property. Hit some fairways. You're going to have to probably be a pretty good, reasonable wedge, short iron player here. Yeah. You're going to have a lot of those 125-ish types of shots. Short game, just don't be a dog, right? I mean, just don't be a dog around the greens. And then, you throw that POA into it. And that always puts a wrench on things. POA, right? Max knows how to putt POA. Matthew Fitzpatrick knows how to putt POA. There's guys that know how to putt POA and are more comfortable with it versus where they grew up. It's an interesting type of grass, especially as it gets late in the day. So as we open up the betting, and we're going to give you some bombers here today. So, look, Matthew Fitzpatrick opens it up here as the favorite. Victor Hovland's there. I thought I said last week, I don't know why Victor Hovland doesn't play Torrey Pines. I don't get it. But there he is. Hovland's at 12-1. Fitzpatrick's 11 right now as we come on the air. Spieth, he's in the field at 12. Seamus Power, ladies and gentlemen, right now is 19-1. There you go. Maverick McNeely, California kid, 20, defending champ. Hoagie at 22. I'll give you McNeely. I'm gonna keep the California vibes going here, and I think in the short odds, I don't trust Spieth. Who knows what we're gonna get? I'd like to see a little bit more from Vic right now, kind of see his season get started. And of course, Fitz, he's the favorite, U.S. Open champ. We know he can keep it in front of him off the tee. It's a good place for him. T6 last year, but I'll go with Maverick McNeely here to do enough with the irons. A guy that knows how to putt these greens.
I really like it. It's sort of been McNeely and Seamus Power were the two guys under 30 that had any part of my consideration. I think I bet McNeely here last year might have probably been 35, 40-1. He seems to have places like this are the ideal McNeely course. It does feel like you're paying a premium, maybe trying to call it, because on the other end, Seamus Power, you could argue, is I don't know, like he is the scrubby field tour MVP at the moment with the Barbasol win, with the Bermuda win, loves coastal, gets that wedge game going. This does also seem like it is in the perfect Seamus Power wheelhouse, who does seem to do really well in these easier setup resort course scoring, because I'm not calling Pebble Beach a resort course. But this tournament has given us resort course scoring in the year because because it is it's a pro-am, and it's a simpler setup. There's no secret there. They know they could put teeth into this place. They don't here. But so it's McNeely or Power that have my attention. If I did have to play at the very, very top, I guess Hovland would be my lean. I thought he might have even been the favorite. I've sort of seen him behind both Fitzpatrick and Spieth, but you're probably right. It might be nicer to see him rev that engine a little bit. And I don't worry. People like the greens are so small. Don't you worry about the short game?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. There's certainly small greens throughout the property.
Yeah,
too.
but I feel like to win here, you're going, like, if you're chipping here, like, just
don't be a dog. Yeah,
on Sunday to win, you're going to need to make a clutch up and down. That's just the PGA Tour. You could be playing resort course or the hardest course. That's going to happen. You're going to need to make a clutch up and down with a clutch 8 to 12 footer, hit that par putt, keep the momentum going. But if you actually need to rely on your short game this week, you're probably so screwed anyway.
That's true. Yeah, because you're going to have to get into the 18, 19 under range to win.
Like I said, once you're playing in resort course style scoring system, so if it's going to be a big thing, then you're DOA anyway. Would be how I would look at it. Hoagie obviously won last year.
A
Was
little
lucky.
slap in the face to Hoagie, isn't it? This far down the board, defending champ. He was third at Sony. He did his thing,
Yeah.
plus 10.2 approach. I mean, rule out the next one. He had, he flew to, or not third at Sony. I'm sorry, third at Century. And then
Yeah, he's
he
the wedge game win. I mean, this is
yeah,
the reason
that's his place.
he was a really, for a guy that was like 60, 70 to 1 last year. I was fortunate enough to have been on that. It was a pretty popular, like, longer odd bet last year because he's just a wedge game wizard. And you hope you can bring it. He actually, I want to say, Travis, when I first saw odds on Monday morning, he opened ahead of Mav and Seamus. And maybe there's just been a little, I guess, love, as we've both acknowledged, those might be the guys we are.
Real quick on Seamus, people, let me remind you, late last year, the fall season, when it started, Seamus won Butterfield, and he goes third at the Worldwide Technology, fifth at the RSM. That's the kind of golf he was playing. Now we're in a slightly better field, slightly. He was 25th at Century to start this season, just atrocious with his irons. But, Seamus Power, I touted him a decent amount last year in his progression and where he was heading. So I think Power and Mavs certainly makes a lot of sense. Hoagie seems to be getting a little disrespected as the defending champ.
And Putnam getting a ton of love.
And Putnam's getting a ton of love.
Some of the guys, Travis, that do this thing that actually move numbers. Like when they post a list, like 3 or 4 names, those numbers have changed. It's almost like the books are waiting to see a couple of these guys post. And they were on a couple of the guys I respect more than anybody were on Putnam. And I saw his number dip so hard yesterday, and some places are kind of bringing it back. But yeah, if you got to bet Andrew Putnam at 24 to 1, maybe you just, like you said, if you want, I think there's going to be an opportunity this week, and I hope we're lucky enough to get it. We'll probably talk about it in the next names. But if just the casual golf fan said, I want no part of this, I'll see you at Phoenix next week and then Riviera. I mean, we're getting some main courses coming up, but I enjoy this. Just like I'll enjoy the Honda field and all those like random Europeans that show up. I'm not going to watch Saturday. I promise. Actually, I don't want to get caught in a lie.
Putnam's going to be one of the best putters in the field. There's no question about that. Around the green, he's solid, decent wedge player. Yeah. I mean, we all kind of run these models and these stats that we like, maybe for this particular venue. And he's certainly up there. I'm probably going to stay away from him as we move down at 25. Kuchar right there at 35. A guy that knows his way, experience factor around this place. Keith Mitchell, I'll pass at 35. I think Justin Rose is interesting. I said it last week. Spent some time at Palm Springs and Amex, watched him work with Mark Blackburn, which was interesting that they're working together. It kind of just struck me that Rose might be a little re-energized, perhaps, a little refocused. So he's interesting to me at 35. You like him?
No, I like that he is. I want the golf fan in me so badly wants like Justin Rose, Ricky Fowler, Jason Day, like get a resurgence. Let's do it again.
Yep.
Golf, and it happens in all sports, at the got generations crossover, but I have a lot of fun when I would if I can get a watch like Jason Day play one of these hot young new generation players for a title, or
you're going to see that. You're going to see that this year.
Justin Rose on the weekend paired up with one of these new young hot things that we're also like fawning over. That's one of the beautiful things, not betting related, but I'm so very much here for all those guys getting healthy and being consistent like we know they can.
You're going to see it with Jason Day this year. He's coming. I mean, he's coming. Justin Rose, perhaps. I would put my money more on Day. But it is, I do get the feeling that Rose feels a little re-energized. He's played pretty good his first 2 outings.
So Ryder Cup year, spots are available, Travis.
I feel like Rose is okay, his attention is there. You know, maybe
Roster spots are open.
Few less commercials, more putts, chips, drivers.
I like it.
We'll see how that plays out.
I bet him last week.
I didn't play him.
No, I didn't actually. I actually scrapped that bet last minute. I thought about it long and hard. But Justin Rose is 35-1 here. If Jason Day was here this week, he'd probably be there with like McNeely on the odds?
I think
probably?
so. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The way he's playing and going and his course why is he not playing? That's a good point. Why in the hell is he not playing? That would have been like 3 in a row, 4 in a row, probably.
I guess, like I said, Riv and I don't know if he's a Phoenix.
Yeah, it'd have been 4 in a row.
Yeah,
it's probably smart he took one off. But I've been out in front with Day's stuff and what he's been doing just from his own personal standpoint.
And it shows in the stats, right? I mean, you stare down the stats, it's like year to date, it's pretty dramatic.
Well, what's interesting with Jason Day is this, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago on the podcast. Even in Jason Day's heyday when he was the #1 player in the world, like Jason was elite around and on the green. Elite. Like top 2 and probably short game and putting. His driver was good. His iron game was okay. Like I say that relative to the rest of his game in the PGA Tour, right?
Yeah.
Like I know I know everybody out there is elite. I get that. But like you never would factor in Jason Day at the Masters, even when because like he just wasn't a good enough iron player, right? Now he could do the rest of it.
Finished second there. He had a lot of great Masters.
He finished second in the Masters, what, in 20?
Like when he was really young. When
he was really young. I'm just saying, like, over a course of time. Like his iron game has always been like number 4 to me on the list of the stats, right? The point I'm making is now when you look at him, his iron game is tracking to be elite. I mean, he's +5, +6. Yeah. I mean, like he is really excelling with his approach game, which to me now is like, all right, if I get that with Jason Day, and then you get even a little bit of the magic around and on the greens that we know he's fully capable of, sign me up. Like this dude's going to win. I've said that. I love where he's going, the changes he's making. I think right now you potentially could see the best iron game ever of his career out of Jason Day. Anyway, he's not in the field. If he was, he would probably be like 15-1, 18-1, somewhere in there. Moving down the list here. Joel Dahmen might be the most interesting name on the list to me, just because of how great he was playing before. Now, we haven't seen him this year, but this dude, last 4 events before he shut it down, top 20s. Playing excellent golf. The only thing that scares me with Joel Dahmen at this facility are the greens. This is a Clarkston, Washington kid. I used to live in Clarkston. I've played every golf course around there, and I can tell you right now, those greens there that he grew up on are nothing. I mean, nothing like what he plays at Pebble Beach. So he worries me a little bit on POA, but I'm intrigued by Joel Dahmen and just how great of golf that dude was playing before he shut it down at the end of the year. I'm not going to play him. I'm just intrigued. He's at 40. McCarthy's at 40. Stallings at 40. Burmester's at 45. There's really no one in there I get too excited about, to be quite honest with you.
As for Joel Dahmen, I guess just the big concern you alluded to it. I think it's been 11 weeks since he has played. So I think for a lot of the outright golf better, that's probably what could be holding them back, myself included. As we sit in front of 50 or at 50, for me, Travis, I probably gonna have a hard time quitting this guy. Tempted on a Thomas Detry 50-1. I'm a bit of a truther on Detry. To me, I could argue this could be a talent play versus the field. People could fight back at me and say,
I agree with you.
Yep. How talented is he? Some of those guys at 70 and 80 that are younger players might even be more talented. But at 50-1 versus this field, I'm going to the well with Detry for sure.
I like it. I like Detry. I think the 3 rookies this year, I think they're cut and dry. We've seen it with the big kid from UNLV and what he can do. I think Davis Thompson's on his way. And I think Dietrich's number 3 on that list. I like Dietrich a lot. His length will be minimized a little bit, but outside of that, I think his game fits well. The only question here is his first time, right, playing here. So you've got that working against it. But look, we've seen 200 plus win here. I'm totally with you on Dietrich at 50. I think it's a great bet.
Yeah.
Stallings.
I mean, and again with the I know he lost some strokes on the green last week. He gained over 2.5 at the Amex. Yeah, I'm in. I'm not. I'll probably be ready to quit at some point, but not yet. Not quite. On a field this week, I think
I agree.
A pretty fair number. But again, it's all relative to what I actually feel. Like, it's all relative that I might even believe Dietrich's better than he actually is. So that's my problem.
Yeah, there's potential, but I think he's. I like his upside too. I really do.
I like Smalley right there as well as another player I kind of been looking at.
I played him in the top 20. Smalley, his win odds right now are, what are they, 50?
Yeah, I'm seeing 50.
Yeah, 50-1. Dietrich 50. Pendrith 50. Taylor Moore 55. I like Taylor Moore. The only thing with Taylor Moore, I wish that dude would become a better wedge player. That's what's holding him back.
If he had that wedge game dialed in right now, he would be. I like Taylor Moore a lot this week, and it's probably mainly so focused on having been told to just look at his POA putting stats. He really does seem to excel in that. I've seen it as high as 70-1. If he had a dialed in wedge game right now, I would be double betting Taylor Moore.
I would too. I think that's a fair analysis right there, folks. 11th last week at the Farmers. He comes into a place that is really built for him. What he does. Look, Geoff, we always talk about, hey, I like this guy's skill set. If he could just have a good putting week, he'll be there, right? How about Taylor Moore? If he could just have a good wedge week, he'll be there. I think that's the truth, man. I think I'm playing Taylor Moore. I'm playing him.
Yeah, I don't even think that's yeah. Just give us some field median wedges, and we'll be there with more this week.
Nick Taylor
16th, and he was 16th here in his debut last year as well, is worth mentioning.
Yeah, Nick Taylor's had some success. He's coming in at 60.
Yeah,
you're gonna pass on him. Davis Riley, he's
close, but
Ben Griffin's playing good golf as we get into 60s. Bo Hostler, no thanks.
You're mentioning Gordon. A lot. Will Gordon,
Molinex, all at 60. Hardy's at 60. Kitayama was probably my most appealing of the 60, but I'll skip down to SH Kim at 65 for a top 20.
Yeah. Geez, been seeing his name lingering on the, like, I don't want to say the first page, but like the second page of leaderboards all month now. There are a lot of names. Like, that's a lot to digest, the sort of group you threw there. I would say Ben Griffin appears to be very popular. For obvious reasons, you stare at those stats, you can see why a lot of people were quick to bet Gordon out of the blocks. Sorry, not Griffin out of the blocks yesterday. Gordon as well. Bo Hostler, he was in that final group here last year, Travis. So a lot of love for Bo. I know that sounds like it's a hard pass for you.
There's a couple guys I have a hard time getting behind. That's one of them.
And I will probably get sucked into Davis Riley.
Really?
65-70-1. I don't want to actually commit to that. The only bets that I have made, Travis, are Thomas Dietrich at 50, and I have bet some Will Gordon at 85 and Taylor Moore at 70. But I am going to make a bet in the 20s, and I'm swimming around Riley and Smalley and maybe even a guy like your buddy Russell Knox if we go farther down this list.
think Riley's an interesting look. He's certainly not playing great golf to kick things off here in the calendar year. He made the cut at the American Express, missed the cut at the Farmers. He seems to be trending the wrong way with the putter right now, and perhaps that's leaking into a little bit of the rest of his game. Driver's been okay. Iron game, above water. But you go back to the Davis Riley of the summer last year when you're seeing those strokes gain approach popping up into the 6s and 7s. You get that this week, and you might have yourself a winner right there. What's his odds right now, Davis?
70-1.
Yeah.
65-1.
That's
it's that great. It's sort of that. There's a lot of these.
That's an interesting one. I think Riley, Taylor Moore at 55. A Riley resurface here to what we were seeing at 70 might be worth a sprinkle.
Yeah, I'm having a real hard time making the decisions because I like a lot of.
I mean, Lipsky deserves some respect at 70.
Yeah, no, Lipsky, absolutely. And I know a lot of people who are betting him this week, but this whole sort of range, Riley, Griffin, we've mentioned Moore, we've mentioned Gordon. I see myself probably betting at least two of those guys. And I might have even just forgotten a name as we did that regurgitation. And
Kitayama?
No. Okay. I don't think I'll be on Kitayama. I don't think I'll be on Bo Hostler either. Although I do cheer for Bo Hostler. I just think I don't know. I've seen
what about Nate Lashley. We saw him run up the board.
Okay, Nate Lashley is steaming up this board. I saw it as high as 130-1 on DraftKings yesterday. It is now 70-1 on DraftKings, 80-1 in most places. So Nate Lashley is probably, at least the sports books have taken notice that a lot of people really did like Nate Lashley early in the offerings.
Would you bet Naismith or Knox at 70?
Oh fuck.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, they both
because Knox certainly seems like the safer play, right?
Yeah, Knox seems like the safer play.
Naismith has the higher ceiling.
What they both do well should actually lead them to potentially both having advantageous weeks or opportunities. I'm going to be playing Knox in a lot of DFS, Travis.
Okay.
I might even get in on a top 20. I'm going to get suckered into your boy here this week a bit. I'll be exposed. I do not see myself carrying an outright ticket. Who can blame me? But I do think I'm going to be exposed, whether it's like props or DFS, to quite a bit of Russell Knox.
Well, I'll tell you right now, folks. I mentioned the 125 range. There ain't nobody better in the field, probably than Russell Knox. And if they are, it's marginal.
Yeah.
Because the dude from 100 to 125, even I'd stretch it to 150. He's pretty darn good. Pretty special with his irons. Gives himself ample looks. Hey, put the putter in his hand. All right, who knows? I mean, who knows, right? That's kind of where we're at. I'm trying to pull him up real quick here, Russell, because you'd have to think he's gonna be popular down in this range, right? Russell's gonna be fairly popular down in this range. He made the cut at the Sony, made the cut at the American Express, iron game. Not quite as polished as we've seen. I don't know. I'm going Naismith of those two. By the way,
yeah,
who is the better guy of those two is a coin flip because they're both like A+ dudes. I spent some time with Naismith at Palm Springs for the cut, which that segment will run here in a few weeks. Let me tell you something. That guy is a gem.
But he's also a gem and a wizard from 125.
He is. He's missed the last 3 cuts. Okay. He's going to turn around at some point. And he was playing exceptional golf. I don't know what the hell happened. Maybe he got to. I got the feeling when I was with him at Palm. Maybe it was me. Like since he's seen me, like he can't make a cut. Because I was building him up. I was like, dude, like I feel it. It's coming. He was right there with Tom Kim. He should have won that tournament. Kim was making bombs from everywhere.
Yes.
Knocked him out. I don't know. It's gonna happen. You're gonna see Naismith back on that I'm gonna bet it. I'm betting Naismith. I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit down here in the 75 range, taking him over my boy Knox. All right, we're getting down. Now we're getting down here to the 80s and 90s. If we got to sprinkle a few bombers. I see some Robbie Shelton love out there.
Yeah.
Good to see Lanto Griffin back playing.
For sure.
We're seeing a little bit of love. I tell you what, Garrett Higgles playing some decent golf again. He's 110. I mean, could that be your boy that, pops up there? I was on him when he won in South Carolina at 75-1. Maybe I need to go to my boy Higo at 110.
He's been showing a propensity to have these unconscious rounds. If he could just surround those with just holding his own, he'll be in quite strong shape. I don't mind your Robbie Shelton call out. I don't mind the Georgia boy Grayson Sig here. 90s, maybe you could find 100 out there on Sig. Just keep it to the wedge and the putter. We could be in a decent spot. And I do like your mention of Lanto. I do feel like sometimes he might play his best on harder courses. But I'll tell you, I've seen his number all over the place. I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen I've literally, there's a 90 on DraftKings, there's a 55 on FanDuel.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's
that's crazy.
Differing opinions, I guess, across the board. I am probably I wouldn't bet Lanto at 55-1, but I am quite bullish on him this week. Sort of like Russell Knox. I do see myself getting in on the Lanto market. I don't really have. Well, I do have a suggestion for a super bomb, but
Lanto's a good wedge player too. He historically that's his
California
weakness,
guy. He'll be comfortable out there.
His weakness is around the green. That's where he gets a little clunky. I think Lanto is a decent look here. Won the Houston Open. California guy. What about Luke Donald? Played pretty good over in. It's like he seems to be a little. Oh man!
I mean, you would think in sort of the same way.
You got to stretch your mind now to.
No, but he's the wizard. He's the RBC Heritage Wizard, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And they got but they got the real tiny greens there too. That's sometimes why I go there and I lose money on McNeely there also.
All right, so we're getting into the bombers.
I sort of take the same. Yeah, I don't know those tiny.
So when you get into the bomber range, let's finish with this.
Yeah,
we're getting into the 150 plus 200 range. We're looking right now, folks. We're looking for Nick Taylor of 2020. We're looking for Ted Potter Jr. of 20. That's what we're looking for, right? And so when you're looking for these guys, is it he's played well here in the past, or is it a young guy with a high ceiling that's like, let's have a week?
Travis, it is whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like you choose your own adventure. If you believe in a guy that this guy should win, can win, on the PGA Tour, there won't be that many other opportunities. Potentially, I mean, I will say normally I like to go for the young guy. I'm always like, give me the unknown, because I feel like I know what these other guys can do. Yeah, and no knock on them. I'd rather just sort of invest in the unknown ceiling. That being said, in terms of the super bomb category, I'm staring at a 42-year-old German, potentially, Travis, in Marcel Siem, who doesn't really play at all on the PGA Tour, but his last 4 starts in Europe, he's got a 16th, a 5th, a 47th, a 19th. Not really going on much, but that like there's some decent relatively speaking, there, and I've seen like 370 to 1. I don't even know that I'm going to make that bet. But you
Three,
have proposed
three.
me to offer a super bomb, and it is Pebble Beach. And that would be the super bomb for me.
370 to 1. Wow. Have you ever bet Peter Malnati before?
Yeah, I
In your
have.
life? You have.
Like RS. Yeah. You know what? Now that you say the name, like this is a Malnati wheelhouse
I know, right?
track. Where was Malnati? Sergio beat him in a playoff, or they were about to go to a playoff. I had Malnati. He seems like a pretty laid back guy. He's about to be in a playoff. He's just sort of like feeding his kid in the shade, sitting down, watching the final groups coming. Yeah, a little wedge putter. That's the only way Malnati's can win. So
that's just kind of, it pops up for me. Like as we look deep into the ridiculous, right? A Peter Malnati, course fit, could go unconscious. He was at where it was at Sony. Remember he was dueling Kevin Na.
Oh yes, yeah.
Down the stretch, making everything. You're gonna bet it, aren't you?
I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna circle back.
You're gonna bet it, man. Mark Hubbard 150. I mean, I like that dude's golf swing, by the way.
Hubbard?
Yeah, every time I go on the range, I like watching him hit balls. He probably wonders like I'm a stalker because I see him like every 5 or 6 weeks. I just stand there and watch. He's like, there's that guy again. Just sitting there watching me hit balls. Yeah, Marcel Seam, there he is, 165. Lucas Glover, 350. Yeah. Zach Blair's in the field at 4. What in the hell?
Yeah, I saw that. Little Zachy Blair.
Wow. JB Holmes is 800 to 1. Philip Knowles, Pride of Jacksonville, Florida, 800 to 1. Brandon Matthews.
Fabian Gomez, 550.
Longest hitter on the tour. Is a bunch.
Can I and I've said this in a few places this week, because I do even remember when my buddy Pat Mayo hit a huge Ted Potter Jr. live ticket here, because the field is so bad, because they're on 3 different courses. And so many of these guys who will be playing well, putting themselves in a Sunday spot on that Saturday, while so much of the focus is on the celebrities, on the TV coverage, there will be real opportunities to catch a stale number on something live. Guys on a different course, going unconscious, out of sight, out of mind. He has no name value for the guy working the books to even respect. But like, as the golf fan, part of the niche Twitter community, you would probably know who he is. Now, there's a caveat to having to deploy that strategy, Travis. You have to be watching or paying attention, right. Which is something we've also said maybe you don't want to do this week.
Yeah.
So,
good point.
Yeah. So if you do, if the wife does end up going out with the kids or somebody, and you're just home and, you're going to watch, just keep an eye, because there will certainly be, there always, you could argue, even last week at Torrey, there were stale live numbers that moved quickly once the books notices what were happening, but they'll notice it way less here, because the names aren't names they'll respect at all. So there could be a real good opportunity if you're paying attention. I probably won't be, but I'm giving you that advice.
All right. So there we have it. There were some names there as we get down into the woods. I had EVR circled too, down in that 90-100.
What's he been up to lately? Because I could always get suckered in.
What has he been up to?
Yeah, has he been playing decent? Was he injured?
At the American Express. I watched him hit balls at that dude's a trip, by the way. Like, he's always got some kind of contraption that he's got on his arms, and this and that. I mean, he's a trip. You look at his what he does. Like, you go back to the beginning of the year, and I'll finish with this. Like, that dude will miss 4 or 5 cuts, and then he'll finish 13th at the Players,
Yeah.
and then he'll miss a cut, then he'll finish 10th at RBC. Then he missed 5 cuts, and then he finished 35th at Butterfield. Missed a cut, comes out 6th at the American Express.
But does he ride those good performances into a few weeks, or they're just back to the missed cuts after them?
Well, I mean, you go back to 2021, 7th at the Northern Trust, 5th at the BMW.
Yeah, that's probably when he was playing his best.
It feels like, yeah.
I don't mind it. I wouldn't hate on it.
Yeah. I'm gonna sprinkle it at 100. That's I'll throw that one in to finish the show. 100. He had this weird thing on. He's like, he put his arms in it. It was like strapped to him like Spider-Man. And like what it does is he has to push on these bungee cord like things, and it makes him keep structure. And I tell you, just puring it like one right after the other. I like EVR, man. He's been on the pod before. He's a straight shooter too. Like he lets you have it. Went after Phil and the Joggers tweet last week. It was beautiful. All right, that's my last one. A few other bombers in there to think about. Let's get a winner this week. Let's go back-to-back weeks here. Home and last week, and get. I wouldn't mind seeing. I gave you Mab. I like Dietrich. We're on the same page there. I like Moore. I think Smalley's interesting. I sprinkled Naismith. All right.
You like Naismith more than Knox? I know you asked me that question, but
I do. I'm going Naismith with the higher ceiling.
Hmm.
I'm going. He's three straight missed cuts. He's going to turn it around. Get back on track. This is the place to do it. 3 different courses. Let's do it. All right.
Awesome.
Well, let me know who wins because I'm not going to be watching. So.
No, Sunday, like the last 2 hours on Sunday, and there's probably only like 6 celebrities left on the golf course. It's fun. No, like it can turn into a.
No, I'll watch Sunday. Yeah.
No, I mean, like once you're on the back nine Sunday, I think it becomes a pretty normal broadcast.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, there's no question.
They only let 20 celebrities play Sunday anyway, or I could be wrong. Yeah, because it's a 3-day cut. Yeah.
The one thing I will say, Charles Kelly, Lady A, playing with Jordan Spieth, he's on the pod tomorrow. And he really going to be we've already done the interview, and it's a good one. He is in rehab, coming back from alcohol, and very honest, transparent about that journey, where he is with golf, playing this week. It's a good one. So he'll be on. And he's friends. He'll be on tomorrow. Yeah, he's playing with Spieth.
See, Spieth is lucky because he gets to, when you're a good enough player, Travis, you get to pick you essentially get to pick your pro-am partner. So you're playing with a friend. I saw a quote from Spieth saying, like, because he was asked about the really long rounds. He's like, I'm out there with a buddy. We're eating good food. We're staring off into Pebble Beach. Like, it doesn't even hit, like, we're laughing. We're telling jokes. Mm-hmm. So if you're just with, like, some accountant from Valspar, probably a much more boring, longer 7 hours, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, it's true. You know what's funny? It kind of hit me this week scrolling through on Twitter. One is AT&T Pebble Beach Pro AM, right? Which just screams, mom and dad, get off my lawn, newspaper, just old school golf. And then the next one is Matthew Fitzpatrick signs with TGL, simulation golf. It is like,
but then also the dichotomy of we're going from Pebble Beach, the get off my lawn AT&T Classic, into Phoenix.
Yeah, it's cool though. That's golf though. Like, look,
exactly,
it's golf. That's golf. You make good points. We like to bitch and complain and this and that. This tournament, like, it's not for me anymore. I get it. Like, I'm fine with it. Right?
The golf season is so long. To think there's not a place on the calendar for this, like, you're being unfair also to the people who, do that other stuff.
There you go. I think that's.
And I just play both sides of it, Travis. I'll complain, and then I'll tell the people complaining to stop complaining.
That's the best way.
Yeah,
that's always the most interesting, right? Like, wait a minute, didn't you say one thing and now you're saying the other?
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, man. Geoff Feinberg, there he is. Thanks for the picks. Let's get one.
PXG has done it again with the launch of a new lineup of drivers, fairways, hybrids, and irons. The new Gen 5 golf clubs deliver significantly increased MOI, faster ball speeds, longer distances, and tighter dispersions, all coupled with the exceptional feel and sound golfers have come to expect from PXG. Schedule your custom fitting or buy online at pxg.com.